Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to talk about installing a curtain rod. Now there's different ways to install a curtain rod depending if you're hitting a stud or a header on the top of the window or not. In this particular case we are going to be hitting a header, so we do not need to use drywall anchors. But sometimes you will need to use a drywall anchor, and I'll explain to you what that is. If you're drilling just into sheetrock, you'll have something like this. This is a drywall anchor. If you have no header behind it or a stud behind it, then you need to use these to hold the curtain rod bracket up. And the way that this works, I will put a link in the video here of how mollies work, but basically what it is, you put this in the wall, you put the screw into the molly, and while it's in the wall, it expands like that and holds it tight. But I will put a link in here of how to use a molly from a previous video that I did. Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to talk about mollies and how mollies work. Seems like a very basic, easy thing, but I want to just explain how and why you want to use a molly. Now there's different kinds of mollies you can use. If you're dealing with a drywall, such as sheetrock obviously, and you have a hollow area behind the sheetrock, but you want to hang something that's pretty heavy and you don't want it to fall or pull out of the wall, that's when mollies come in pretty handy. Now they have different kinds of mollies. You have different sizes. You have something like this, and then you also have something like this. This one here is actually meant to screw into the drywall so you can attach something to this. Well, I'm going to show you and I'm going to explain how this works. You have different size mollies, such as this, and they even come a lot bigger, such as this. Different size mollies for different weights. So if you have something fairly light that you're hanging, you obviously use a small molly. If you have something heavier, you use a bigger molly. And if you have something extremely heavy that's going to hang on a wall, you're going to use something, it's called a toggle bolt, or there's lots of different names out there for it, but basically what it is something like this. This is meant to hold something that's extremely heavy from a drywall. Now sometimes you can actually screw into a beam, other times you can't screw into a beam, and it goes into a hollow area behind the sheetrock. When it goes into the hollow area, that's when you need to use something like this. As you can see, this one folds flat like this, and it's actually that size. What you do is you drill a hole in the wall, which I will demonstrate how it works. You're going to drill a hole in the drywall. You're going to take this, push it into the wall. When you push it in the wall, that's going to happen. It's going to pop open like that, and then you would just tighten this down, and it would pull tight against the wall, and therefore nothing can pull back off this. Now this can be used on drywalls. It can be used on cinder blocks. If you're on a cinder block wall and you're drilling into a hollow part of the cinder block, this can also be used on a block wall as well. The mollies that I just showed you, these type of mollies as well. These mollies can also be used on cement. If you're drilling into cement and you need to attach something to cement, you can't attach something to cement with a screw such as that, because it will not screw in to the block, the cinder block, or into cement. That's when you need to put a molly in the cement as well. But it's the same procedure when you put this into cement as when you put it into drywall. So I will show you how to do that. Now there's another kind that they have. Okay, and this is the other kind of molly you'd use. This is actually a self-tapping molly. You put it up against the drywall, you turn it, and it actually cuts its own threads in, and it attaches like that. So come on over here. I'm going to show you how each one of them work and what the purpose of each one is. I just want to point one more thing out to you. This is something that's meant to screw into a cinder block. So if you're screwing into cinder block, you can use the mollies like I just showed you, or you can take these, and these screw directly into the cinder block themselves, and they actually cut their own threads in the cinder block. They're self-tapping. But we're not going to cover this because we're not talking about these today. So come on, I'll show you. All right, so come on over. I'm going to show you how each one of these work, and you'll see how they are. Okay, so let me demonstrate how a molly works. We're going to put a molly in here, and then I'll show you in the back what a molly does and why it holds so tight on the wall. All right, the first thing you're going to do if you're going to take a smaller molly such as this here, you're going to do is you're going to take this, and you're going to find the correct drill bit that's actually meant for the wall itself. Now, this one is a fairly small moly, so we're going to make it very small like that. So this small bit like this is the one meant for this moly. So let's put this one in first. What you would do is just drill a small hole, such as that in the wall. You take your moly like this, put it on it like that. And then you tap the moly till it's flat against the wall like this. And you can see how it pushes out in the back. Now when you take your screw and you screw it in, this will expand and hold it in. So let me demonstrate how that works. Now if you have a electric drill, of course you can use the electric drill, or you can just screw it in by hand. So what happens now, when you screw it in the screw, you can see the back of the moly here. Watch how it starts to open up. And you can see how the moly now, the screw comes through here, the moly spreads out, and it holds it nice and tight so that there's no way that this can pull out of the wall, because this is thicker now than the hole that we drilled into that. So that's one small moly that we can use. And now if you have something larger that you need to hang, you'll take something like this. Again, you'll take the moly and you'll put it into the hole, so you'll get something that is almost the size of the tip of the moly. Not this part of the moly, but this part. And that's this bit right here, like that. Well, do the same thing. We're going to drill a hole through it. Watch your hands. You take your moly, put the moly on here like this. And you take it and you tap it until it's flush against the wall. Now by flush, I mean the lip is touching against the wall itself. And then you would take your screw, put your screw on here like this. And again, you can see how now in the back it's flat, and you screw your screw in. And as you screw the screw in, you can see this tip doesn't really matter, but you can see how these pieces here pushed open, and it holds the moly. It expands the end of the moly so that it will not pull back out of the sheetrock itself. All right, and now I'm going to demonstrate how. Okay, this is the moly that I was telling you is actually self-tapping. And what you would do is, there's a Phillips head on the side right here. You put your Phillips head in here like this. You take it and you put it on the sheetrock or the drywall, and then you start it in the drywall and just push on it very lightly, and it starts to cut into the drywall itself. I am going to tilt this up because it's going to hit it. And that's how this one goes. And then again, when you screw the screw in through here, and you tighten this, it pushes out the moly in the back. You can see where it's getting thicker. And that's how that holds. Now the last one I want to explain to you is that toggle bolt that I showed you. This is to hold up something that's extremely heavy, that it will not rip through the wall. Now you're going to need a drill bit that's fairly large, because you need to drill a hole in the drywall or the cement, the cinder block, that size. So this bit is the size that we're going to use. We're going to drill a hole. You drill a hole like this in the drywall or the cinder block. You take your toggle bolt, you squeeze it together like this, you put it on here, and you push it through. And when you see it come through the other side, see how it pops open? Now you pull that against the wall and you tighten up whatever you have to tighten up on this side over here, and it'll pull that bolt tight against the wall, and there's just no way that anything is going to pull out of there. All right, so that's the different kind of toggle bolts. That's the different kind of mollies to use. Different mollies. Small mollies are obviously to hold lightweight. Bigger mollies are meant to hold larger, heavier objects. So just make sure you use the correct ones for the correct job. All right, let's get up there and let's put this bracket on the window and get it all finished. Let me give you an example of what kind of tools you're going to need. You're going to need a screwdriver, whether it's Phillips or flat, we're not sure. We're going to need a drill, and here's my little assistant right here. She's checking to see I'm doing a good job. We're going to need a drill with a very small drill bit. Usually a 1/16 is adequate to do it. A pencil, of course. And in this case, we're going to use a stud finder. Not that I'm endorsing this company. This just happens to be the one that I'm using myself. And of course, the screws to put the bracket up. All right, let's go up on the top of the header up here, and we'll put this up. Okay, now to find out if you have a stud in the wall or a header above the window, you take your stud finder, you put it above like this, and you just move it until it starts to beep. And that is where our stud or header begins. Okay, so the whole top up here is a stud or a header above the window. Now I already located where I want to put the brackets up here, but that's personal preference where you want to mount it, whether you want to mount it further out or up higher. It depends on your personal preference. This just happens to be the location that I'm going to be installing the brackets to. We took our bracket, put it on here like this. We located the holes that we're going to drill right here and right here. And now we're going to get up there with that very small drill bit, and we're going to drill in partially. Now I want to point this out to you. This will be a little bit easier if you take your drill bit. You don't know exactly how far you're going to go in. I put a piece of tape on the drill bit, so that way I know I'm going to be drilling in till the tape comes in contact with the wall and no further. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Nice and slow, we're going to drill. Now right there, you can feel where it pops through the sheetrock because you feel it pop in just a little bit. And now we're into the header or the stud. So now we're going to drill until that tape comes in contact with the wall. Okay, so now we know that's as far as it needs to go. So we'll take it out, and we're going to drill the second hole down the bottom right here. Nice and slow. Okay, again, it comes in contact with the wall, and we're done. Now we'll grab our screwdriver and we'll put the screws in. Now we take our bracket. Now I'm using an electric screwdriver, but you can use a regular Phillips head screwdriver to do the exact same thing. So we're going to put it through here, and we're going to catch the top screw first in the hole, and we're not going to go too far. We're just going to catch it into the beam or the header. And now we're going to get the second screw in place down here. Hold it in place, put the screw in like this. Now if you are using the electric screwdriver, do not over tighten it and strip it out, because you will have a problem. Okay, and our bracket is now on. Let's put our curtain rod up and we'll see. Okay, We just put our curtain rod on like this and like this. And that's it. Our curtain rod is now done. Of course, you can put on whatever kind of curtain you'd like to put on there, but that's pretty much how you do it. All right, so putting up a curtain rod is really not that difficult. Just get yourself a stud finder so you know if there's a beam or a header or a stud in the wall in there before you start drilling. Now, if you don't have a stud finder, you just can drill a little pilot hole, that little 1/16 hole, and if you hit a hollow area behind it, then you'll know you need to use the molly in the wall. But if you hit the stud or the header or whatever is behind there, then you know you can use just a screw. But that's it. This job is done, and we're on to the next one. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, the bell will come up. You can click on the bell, and you can highlight when you'd like to be notified of all the uploads or some of the uploads, personal preference. That's it. This job is done, and we're on to the next. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.